welcome to Meldon Law and Friends, a weekly podcast brought to you by Meldon Law, a statewide law firm with its primary office in Gainesville, Florida, and also with offices in South Florida covering the entire Tri-County South Florida area from Miami-Dade through Broward through Palm Beach County, and also in Marion County, where we have been in Ocala for 43 years, actually with a brand new office, Jeffrey, that we've been talking about, and I know you're very proud of how that's coming along.
Yes, the office is open and functioning, and we're giving away our free Meldon Law tumblers. With
yes.
On this side's Meldon Law, the other side is a fancy gator, and we want to invite you to stop by. The address is 1326 South Pine Avenue in Ocala. You'll see it right across from the hospital. The new Advent Hospital is there, so we welcome everybody, and there's people there now.
There are. We've got attorneys, we've got staff. Check out our office. Those of you, whether you've been old clients of ours, current clients, or just want to stop by and say hello, please do so, 1326 Pine. And we've got a great show. We're going to get right to it. The focus of today's show is we are highlighting some local entrepreneurs, people in the Gainesville, Northeast Central Florida community who are making a huge impact, not just with the businesses and the success they're having, also with their philanthropic and community service. So we'll be talking firstly to Cynthia Thibault. How are you doing, Cynthia?
Good. Thank you for having me.
Owner and CFO, along with her husband, Michael, of the Village Jeweler. And we'll be talking with you in just a second. Just a couple of things I want to get out of the way quickly. I want to remind everybody we are live on Facebook Live. So if you have any questions for either of our guests in the second half, we'll be talking to Hiro Leung, who is one of the owners and founders of the Dragonfly restaurant in Gainesville. So if you have any questions for Cynthia, for Jeffrey, hey, maybe you just want to talk about the Gators, whatever it may be, go on Facebook Live, the Meldon Law Facebook page, type in your question in the comments section, and we'll answer it within reason. Anyway, a couple of things real quickly also. We've got ticket giveaways still, Jeffrey. Tonight, I think we still might have a couple of tickets left for the Stetson game.
Yes, and Stetson always gives us fits.
They do. They're a great program. Yeah, we've dropped a couple of games to them in the past, and what a series though we had this weekend. How about that against Vanderbilt, the number 2 team in the country?
Yeah, for those of you that didn't hear, we won the series 2 out of 3 games. We came back from a loss on Friday with a big win on Saturday. It happened to be Meldon Law Day.
It was. I think that was the kicker. That's what had to turn it around.
The Meldon Law Firm provided the Gators with 11 runs, so they were able to take care of a mighty Vanderbilt team. They scored 8 runs. So
I tell you what,
11.
they are a very good team. I just noticed how fundamentally sound that base runner, that guy they've got that guy with more stolen bases than any team as a whole across the entire country.
Yes.
So Vanderbilt, look for them to do very well postseason. So we do have tickets still. We're giving away to the Stetson game tonight, May 4th at 6:30. I think we still have 6 tickets, Jeffrey. So you know the drill out there. Go on our website, go to the Meldon Law homepage at meldonlaw.com, go to the top, click the banner, say, I want the tickets, and we'll see. We'll see how many people apply. I know they're still available, and we've got Texas A&M this weekend, 7th, 8th, and 9th in women's softball, last series of the year.
Yes, and Lady Gators are ranked number 3 in the country, awesome team. So we're waiting to see what happens in the SEC games, and then the national tournament games.
I know they'll do well there. I know we've got a great team, and they're going to be right up there to the very end, I'm sure. Lastly, I want to mention next week, we've got the Georgia series. The Gators play the Georgia Bulldogs in baseball at the new Florida ballpark, the 14th, 15th, and 16th. Again, go to our webpage, go to the homepage, very first page at the very top, you'll see a link to go for those tickets for the Georgia games.
Yeah, we're excited. Actually, Sunday, there's a 12 o'clock game, and it's Meldon Law Family Day. We're bringing 20 of the members of our team plus the kids out there for a big party.
Yeah, I know. A lot of people in the office really excited about that. So come to that ballpark if you haven't been there yet. It's a great time and a great product, a tremendous team. Cynthia, let's get right to it.
Okay.
You know, I've been to your store. You and Michael have just done an amazing job with the Village Jeweler. So why not, for the benefit of our viewers and listeners who might not be familiar with the store, talk about the origins of it. I know you worked in the business for a number of years before you opened it.
We did. We started out in the wholesale aspect of the business. Mike and I did repairs and remounting and things for lots of stores with the Zale Corporation for years, and we had contracts from Pennsylvania down to Puerto Rico doing repairs and remounting. Customers would bring in their maybe jewelry they wanted to get, updated looks, and so we would Mike would set up the bench and I would sell the thing, and at the end of the day he would remake it and reset their grandmother's diamonds or whatever, and they'd have a new piece of jewelry. So we kind of traveled around and did that for years, and finally decided we kind of wanted to have our own store and our own space and get off the road and not travel. And so that's when we built the building in Hale Plantation, our first store, and went retail and opened in '98.
Wow. So how did you wind up in the jewelry business yourself?
Well, when I was at UF going to school, I worked as a salesperson for Friedman Jewelers in the Oaks Mall, way back in the day. And one of the managers there, her husband was a jeweler. So when I met Mike and we got together, he was working as a welder at the time, so it kind of made sense, jewelry.
It's similar.
Yes, so that jeweler, that husband, needed an apprentice, so he hired Mike, and that's kind of what started our career. So I started in sales, and he started, as the jeweler, and as he got busier and took over his own stores, then he needed an apprentice, so he hired me. We taught me, and so that was our beginning. So then we did repairs for different stores for years. We're a big repair facility.
I got to say, you have done such a remarkable job of presenting the Village Jewelers to our community. Your marketing and bringing in all the coaches to talk about their experience. And most of them lived out in that neighborhood, right?
Yes, yes.
So it was convenient.
And we were all friends. Our relationship with Jerry and Steve, that was a fun, time that he endorsed our store and did that for us and wore our watch and all of that. We have great memories of that. And
the Donovans.
Yes, yep.
Yeah, I remember that. But it's a win-win for the coaches, right?
Yeah, it was. It was fun because we would help with the coaches' gifts, the wives' gifts. That's always, that's a lot of, that the wives have to do gifts for a lot of people, so we would help them with that. And
so a lot of what you do, I was reading on your website, is you do custom pieces. I saw that you not only do custom pieces, you do home work. You go into people's homes, I guess, and do some things there. At least that's what I read. And talk a little bit about that, about the designer pieces, custom pieces, and in-house repair work. Okay.
Well, our son, when Mike had to step away from being a jeweler because we are running a family farm. It's a family ranch, huge operation up in Springfield, Missouri. We brought our son in, who we'd sent him out to California. He went to GIA out there for a couple of years, got all his degrees. He's a graduate gemologist, master jeweler, CAD designer, jewelry designer. So he's taken over that whole aspect, and we just do a ton of custom work, and we love to do custom work. We've created some really neat pieces for people.
And you moved, though. I want to address that. The fact you talked about how you built your own building in Hale Plantation.
Yes.
And then a few years ago, you joined the wave of businesses coming to Butler.
We did.
So talk about that.
Well, when we found out that Deborah Butler was putting together this town center, we just knew that we wanted to be a part of it because it was closer to so many of our customers and closer to the university and closer to Shands and things like that. And as much as we love Hale Plantation and loved our building out there, it's a long way out.
Sure.
So we wanted to get a little bit closer to, the heart of everything down here. And so we made the decision to move. We ended up going into a temporary spot for a few years until this got to the point where we could move into the Village Center.
So how's it going out there?
It's going great. It really is going great. A lot of more stores are opening, and the traffic has increased. And we just have a hair salon that moved in right next door to us. And that, there's a lot of women going in and out there every day. So it's just, there's a lot more traffic.
Now, you're right behind Whole Foods?
We are.
Okay, so who are some of the other restaurants and other stores out there?
We have, we have Kilwins and Mode Salon near us, and then Sephora is on the Inn, which, is a great store for makeup and whatnot. And then there's, of course, Cheesecake and P.F. Chang's, and Anthropology just opened this year. That's another big name. And the Lilly Pulitzer store.
Wow.
Heart and Heart, Narcissus. There's a lot. It's come a long way. Cycle Bar just opened. So
it's kind of a little different than Butler North as far as the kinds of stores and the feel and that.
Yeah, I think it's meant to be that, a little bit of an more upper scale town center where you park and you walk around, and we have our little green space where you can, kids can run around after they've had their ice cream, and, you can stop and eat lunch there. We have live music there sometimes on the weekends, so it's a nice, it's a nice space.
Can we park our Tesla there?
You can park your Tesla.
He's not kidding.
Yes. No, I have a Tesla, so yeah.
Oh, you do?
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
Good. So my wife Patricia has a Tesla, and for 25 years I've had a convertible, and I finally made the decision I'm going to go with the Tesla for my next car.
I love it. I mean, your wife probably loves hers too, but I love it.
She
But we
does,
do
trust
have
me.
the superchargers right there on the side of Whole Foods.
Right.
So, well, good. So we want everybody to know that whoever needs an electric charge, you can go charge while you're going to the Village Jewelers.
Yep, you can
and
shop while you're charging.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to talk about, we got to go to a break in just a minute and a half, but I know we've got a promotion we were talking about before we went on the air today, and why don't you talk a little bit about that?
I think we need to save that for when we come back.
All right,
I think
so
we need
we'll
to
tease that.
We got a big promotion coming up.
Big promotion at Village Jeweler, and we want you to stay tuned so you can hear all about that. One other thing we're going to talk about is the fact that while it's a gorgeous store in a high-end part of town, you can work with any budget, right? Whether it's a student, a young person starting out, whomever you are, come talk to them and you'll find a way to work with them.
I think people feel like it's going to be expensive and it's intimidating, but we start at $40 and $50 items all the way up. So we want everybody to have the experience of a nice jewelry store, but you don't necessarily have to spend big money at all.
Okay, we'll be talking more to Cynthia Thibault in the second segment coming up in just a minute. Want to remind everybody, again, you're watching Meldon Law and Friends. If you have any questions for Cynthia or for Jeffrey, please go on Facebook Live. If you're not there already, type a question in the comments section. We'll be happy to answer it. Also want to remind you that coming up in the second half of today's podcast, we have Hiro Leung, who is one of the founders, one of the two driving forces and founders behind Dragonfly restaurant, which not only is in Gainesville, but in other markets across Florida. It's an incredible success story. He'll be talking about entrepreneurship, how he got started in Gainesville, and many other things. So we will be right back, and thank you so much for being a part of today's program.
The Gator Nation will be the first to tell you that in all kinds of weather, we all stick together, which is why Meldon Law is honored to be the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. We hope you never find yourself the victim of a serious accident, but if you do, our team is here for you. Gators won't back down from a fight, and neither do we. When you're a member of the Gator Nation, you know what it means to never back down. Meldon Law has been a proud supporter of the Gator Nation since 1971. Two forces that won't back down. As the old saying goes, if you can't beat 'em, join 'em.
Hello and welcome back to Meldon Law and Friends. Today is Tuesday, May 4th, 2021. This is our 28th episode. I was thinking about that. So if you figure 4 episodes a month, we've been doing this 7 months. I didn't realize that.
I know. Time flies when you're having fun, right?
That truly is the case, and this has been a lot of fun. And I know I speak for both of us and all our guests. I think we've all had a good time doing this, and hopefully we're sharing some very good information. I know today we are. And again, I'd like to welcome Cynthia Thibault. She and her husband Mike founded and continue to run Village Jeweler in Gainesville. Very successful business, and also one that's doing a lot of community service. But this has to be a huge week for you. It's Mother's Day weekend coming up.
Yeah, it's Mother's Day, and everybody's got to take care of their moms. You know, they do a lot for us, so you need to celebrate with jewelry.
As a jeweler, what are your top weeks of the year as far as sales?
Well, Christmas is a big.
Sure.
You know, Christmas is big, and I would say Valentine's Day has made a little resurgence. You know, this year it was our biggest Valentine's I think we have ever had.
No
I don't
kidding,
know whether
yeah.
that's a reflection of what we've all been through with COVID and
Perhaps,
whatnot.
yeah.
But yeah, it was a really big one. And then of course Mother's Day is probably the second biggest holiday.
We actually have a question from Kaylee Jones on Facebook Live. Thank you, Kaylee, for the question. Cynthia, what do you like most about working in the jewelry industry?
That is a good question. I would definitely say we get to be a part of so many people's life celebrations. Celebrate life was our tagline and is for many years, because we do, you know, you only buy jewelry for happy occasions, and it's usually a celebration of something, you know, graduation, birthday, a milestone in your life, you know. So that is definitely by far my favorite.
For those of you that don't know, Cynthia is the Meldon's Jewelers, and we had the best time when about 2.5 years ago, I picked out this incredible engagement ring for my wife, Patricia, and Patricia was there to share it with us, and we kind of kept it secret a little bit until I walked outside, and you have that neat little bench area. And I got down on my knees and proposed to Patricia with a beautiful diamond ring from the Village Jewelers. And so I think we may have some pictures of that.
Yeah, I think you just put them up.
But that's an example of celebrating a life event. And it,
yes,
you know, we'll
and we
always
got to be a
remember.
part of that. That was so cool. That's one of my favorite stories for sure. But yeah, we get, you know, really
And I'm
really
sure
things.
with even graduation and other things, and like we said,
Yep.
people need not feel intimidated. If you think you can't afford it, come anyway.
Yes,
It doesn't cost anything to talk to you,
Yep,
and
it
you'll
does
figure
not.
something out.
Yeah, I used to go out there, even if I didn't have any money in my bank account, I'd go out there and find something, right?
Yes.
And it would work, you know, and go, oh, okay, well, this will get me back in the door.
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes that's important,
Yeah,
right?
that's important. Yeah.
So,
What are some of the funniest things that have ever happened to you as a jeweler?
Oh gosh, I don't know. You put me on the spot with that one.
That's a tough question.
That
I
is
know,
a tough
I know.
question.
Strange.
That is a tough question. We've had some definitely interesting customers over the years, for sure. This store we built in a bar. So that has been huge for making people feel comfortable, you know, just having the, you know, offering them a drink. They can sit up at the bar. So we've done a lot of, some of our biggest sales just at the bar top. So that's.
Do you ever
that's
have
it.
like people walk in with big bags of cash and they just want to, you know, pay in cash?
only you would
I
ask
don't
that
think
question.
that happens that often, but no, I mean, people do definitely pay in cash.
Yeah, I'm
But,
sure.
yeah.
Well, let's talk about something that affected everybody and still does, the COVID crisis, the pandemic. And why don't you tell us a bit how your business, your family, how you managed to cope with that?
Well, it was interesting, which I'm sure for most, you know, mom and pop jewelers, they were used to, you know, fighting it out and surviving anyway. So I think when COVID hit, it gave us a chance to kind of, we're gonna sit back and regroup here. What do we need to do to survive? What can we change? We redid our entire website. We just looked at every aspect of our business. How can we, you know, move forward without customers actually coming in the door? What is that going to look like? So it was interesting. I would say for the 6 or 8 weeks where we were locked down, we accomplished so much in that time, learned a lot about our business, gave us an opportunity to, not be caught up in the daily routine, but step back and make some changes for the good. I think it propelled businesses forward quite a few years, and being comfortable to shop maybe online or in a different way, contactless, that they wouldn't have done before. So I think that was important because most mom and pops don't do that as much with the online presence and things like that. So that was something that time allowed us to accomplish.
Is it continuing now? You're seeing more online purchases?
Definitely, it is. And that wasn't something we were doing that much of before. But with social media and, Facebook Lives and different things, there's so many different ways to get your jewelry in front of people that maybe aren't leaving their home. They can watch it that way.
And how do you, if do you ship it and insure it, and are there ways to do that so
Yes.
that the people can check it out and, and make sure it's what they want?
Yes, absolutely. We ship. We also have in-store pickup, which we did sort of contactless, kind of like the pizzas. But we did all of the above. So it was interesting. It was an interesting time, and we learned a lot. And
So those things are going to continue moving forward even after COVID.
Yes.
There were revolutionary changes in your business, just like in our business.
Absolutely,
And,
yes.
and everybody now is figuring out, well, what part of that's going to move forward, and how can we actually integrate that into our sales plans?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I think there's a lot of people that wouldn't have thought they would have sit on their couch with a glass of wine and buy jewelry on Facebook. But that happens a lot now because it's the new norm, so it works.
You know what else? You're in a great position because the folks in the North Central Florida community that know you, trust you, you've got a high trust factor, and if they get something from the Village Jewelers, they know it's going to be a good quality product at a fair price.
Yes, thank you, but that definitely does help.
Let me ask you something on that point. To somebody going out and buying their first diamond, okay, and they've read things on the internet about scams, about fake diamonds, this, that, and the other, give some advice to people who are looking to buy their first diamond. What can they do to avoid being scammed? And I'm sure there are safeguards that they can do when studying a diamond.
Well, first I would say that a professional diamond buyer would never buy a diamond sight unseen, because you can't tell from a paper what that diamond actually looks like. So I would definitely not suggest anyone buy online where they don't see the diamond. I think people try to educate themselves, and it's very confusing. And so I think the number one is to go talk to someone that's a professional, someone that you trust. They can educate you on diamonds, and you make your decision, but you actually see the diamonds. I think that's probably the number one thing.
Do you give valuations if somebody were to come in and say, take a look at my jewelry, give me a fair assessment on what it's worth? You can do that type of thing?
Yes, absolutely. Our son Harrison is a graduate gemologist and an appraiser, so he does all the jewelry appraisals, new or old jewelry or watches or anything.
I know one thing also, we talked about it a little bit at the beginning today, your business does a lot of philanthropic work. You get involved in community activities, charities. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, we've always felt that was really important to give back. And in fact, when we built this new store, we built it in such a way that it had it's big enough, and it has a nice flow, and we have our bar so that we can do big charity function events. Obviously, that's been a little bit tough with COVID. Can't have events, but that's going to come back, and then we'll be able to do more of that in the store. But we like to do different things. We just did the big Rock the Runway event in front of our store. We did some the Pace Golf Tournament. We do a lot of different things, or give money, proceeds from our sales to certain things. But we try to do 3 or 4 big ones a year in the store, and we'll continue to do more of that as we're able.
What are some of the trends in the jewelry industry that you see, moving forward from, coming out of COVID?
There's the jewelry business in general is going crazy right now. It's worldwide. It's been really, really good. So I don't know if people feel, after experiencing this, that they want to, celebrate and, and more marriages, maybe there's more divorces. I'm not sure, but we've experienced more marriages. But there's been just more, I feel like more gift giving, more celebration.
Well, that's really interesting. I mean, it's not the same, but after World War II, when people came back, there was this huge, explosion. People hadn't been having babies for 3 years,
Right.
And
Yep.
all kind of stuff, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay,
Yes.
happy times are here
Yeah.
again, and
Yep.
So maybe there's a lot of that sentiment that's going on right now.
Yeah,
around,
I think so.
That would
the
make sense.
country.
So on that point, we teased at the end of the last segment that there was going to be a special promotion at your store
Yes.
involving Meldon Law. So why don't you talk about that?
Okay, so we talked with Cynthia about coming up with something special for our viewers and listeners to Meldon Law and Friends. And we are going to have a special promotion. If you say you saw Cynthia on Meldon Law and Friends, you will get a 20% discount on any item that you purchase at the Village Jewelers. So we're very excited about that. And this is Mother's Day week, so there's no better time
There you
to
go.
get out there and make a mother happy and really
Make your wife happy, or girlfriend, or significant other, whatever it may be.
yeah. No, but so anyhow, we're going to have a big Meldon Law promotion, partnering up with the Village Jeweler in the Butler Town Plaza. Just Google Village Jeweler. Your car will
You have a
just take
website,
you right
right?
We
there.
do.
Go on the website.
villagejeweler.com.
But I can tell you that I've dealt with the Village Jeweler probably since their opening in 1998. And I know the folks there, and they're great, and they will lead you in the right direction, which is
Definitely.
one of the most important things that a jeweler does, right?
That is true. That is true.
And I want to thank you so much, Cynthia, for
It's my
being
pleasure.
on our podcast, and that we look forward to having you back again. Every year we're going to, try to get the pulse of what's going on in the jewelry industry.
That sounds great. I look forward to it.
We want to remind everybody you are watching the May 4th, 2021 edition of Meldon Law and Friends. You can watch us on Facebook Live, and if you missed the live podcast, you can check us out on our YouTube page. Also, there are many of you listening on one of 39 different audio platforms. All our episodes, all 28 of them now, are archived on everything from Google Music to Amazon to all the other common platforms on which people listen to podcasts. And we have a great guest coming up on the second half of the show in just a minute. It is Hiro Leung from the Dragonfly restaurant, which is frankly one of my favorite restaurants in town. So I'm looking forward to talking with Hiro. Cynthia, again, thank you so much. You and Mike have just done a tremendous job as community partners and citizens in Gainesville, and we as always wish you the best.
Well, thank you so much. It's my pleasure.
Okay,
We'll
thank
be-
you again, and we'll be back in just 60 seconds.
That is right.
When you're a member of the Gator Nation, you know what it means to never back down. Meldon Law has been a proud supporter of the Gator Nation since 1971. Two forces that won't back down. As the old saying goes, if you can't beat 'em, join 'em.
I was in a truck accident. Because of the accident, I've resulted in 3 back surgeries. We saw advertisements on TV, and guess who popped up more often than not? It was Jeffrey. The communication that he provided was so appreciative. He shows his compassion as a human. He assisted us in achieving one of our dreams, the acquisition of a home, and we're here today with smiles on our face with the assistance from Jeffrey.
And I was in an accident. Someone ran a red light and hit me, and I was hurt. You don't know where to turn. Luckily, I called Jeffrey. These big insurance companies, they don't want you to win. They truly don't. But Jeffrey and his firm and the people that work here, they just really fight for you. You call the law offices of Jeffrey Meldon, because you're going to need help, and they will help you.
The Meldon Law Firm from the beginning has been built on giving back to the community. I enjoy coming to work as much today as I did in 1971 when I opened my practice. I don't look at this as a job. I look at it as serving other people. While we're alive, what better feeling can you achieve than knowing that you've helped other people and thereby you enrich your own life?
Being a client at Meldon Law was special because I felt like I was really being listened to and I felt welcome by the entire staff. If I were in a situation where I needed legal advice and help, I would absolutely reach out to Jeffrey because his reputation alone speaks for itself. But on a personal level, I know that he would take care of me and help me solve those problems, and I would feel safe with him.
The Gator Nation will be the first to tell you that in all kinds of weather, we all stick together, which is why Meldon Law is honored to be the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. We hope you never find yourself the victim of a serious accident, but if you do, our team is here for you. Gators won't back down from a fight, and neither do we.
Hello and welcome back to the second half of today's edition of Meldon Law and Friends. Today is Tuesday, May 4th, 2021. My name is Chris Qualman. I'm here with my boss, my mentor, my good friend, Jeffrey Meldon. And as we said earlier, this is the 28th episode. It's really incredible. We've been doing this 7 months. Didn't realize it had gone that fast. For those of you who may not be familiar with Meldon Law, we think you are by now. And in case you're not, we are a firm that primarily handles personal injury cases, meaning victims of catastrophic motor vehicle crashes, big truck crashes, slip and fall, trip and fall, premises liability, dog bite, any type of an accident where someone is injured due to the negligence or carelessness of another. Please give us a call, toll free, anytime, 1-800-373-8000. There is no fee, no charge for an initial consultation. And we also handle criminal defense matters, including DUI defense. And we are statewide, based in Gainesville, and we have an office in South Florida covering the entire South Florida area, from Miami-Dade County through Broward through Palm Beach County, and of course, where we've been also for 43 years in Marion County. And also, Jeffrey, just a couple of quick housekeeping measures. Want to remind everybody, we are giving away tickets. We still have them to tonight's game against Stetson, who always gives us a tough game. And then we've got softball this weekend, the final series of the year against Texas A&M.
Yeah, for those of you that haven't seen the Lady Gators play softball, you're in for a treat. They're currently ranked number 3 in the country. They're fighting for the title in the SEC, and they're going to be going places in the national tournament. So we've got 6 tickets for each game, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, this weekend against Texas A&M, huge series. We've got a set of 4 tickets for the 6 o'clock game on Saturday, as well as 2 tickets for the game on Friday. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, go to meldonlaw.com. On the homepage at the top, you'll see enter the contest. So that's the easy way. Just go to meldonlaw.com, homepage top, you'll see a bar that says enter the contest.
And I want to give a shout out to someone who just typed in a Facebook question. Tabitha Miller, I know you have been one of our most devoted followers of our program. You've been typing in question after question regarding these giveaways. So all I want to tell you is keep trying, keep registering. We will be having ticket giveaways, like Jeffrey said, for tonight's game, for the weekend games, the softball games, and then next week's huge games against Georgia. And it's going to go on throughout the year. We're not just stopping at the end of softball and baseball. This is going on year-round.
No, we're already conspiring.
Well said.
We're going to have fun with this, our Gator partnership. As you all know, Meldon Law is the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators, and we take great pride in helping to promote the Gator events. Football certainly gets its fair share of attention, but all the other Gator sports are phenomenal, so we encourage everyone in the community to take advantage of the wonderful athletics we have right here in our own backyard and come support the Gators.
Let's get right to our next guest. Anybody who's been in downtown Gainesville and has had sushi knows this guy. Hiro Leung. I hope I said that right.
Oh, there's so many different ways to say
Okay.
it, but you know.
Close enough.
Yes.
Well, how do you say it?
What's that? How do you say it?
Your name.
I just go by Hiro, so much shorter. Hiro,
All right, Hiro.
Fumi, yeah.
Hiro's the guy. He and his partner created Dragonfly Gainesville, and welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Yeah, and so Hiro and I have known each other since he started Dragonfly.
Oh, yeah.
Because I lived upstairs in Union Street Station,
That's very
above
true.
where the current Dragonfly is. And many people don't even remember the fact you didn't start where Dragonfly is right now.
No.
That was Hooters.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so it was Mark's restaurant, which is called something else in the beginning.
Yep.
And then the addition to Mark's is where you originally were, right?
Yeah, I mean, we've definitely seen so many different generations of restaurants come and go throughout downtown, but one common theme is, I mean, like you said earlier, Jeffrey has always been a mentor. I mean, every single way, right before we even started opening the restaurant. Remember, we used to work out at the gym across the street.
That's right. Well, I remember on, for the Georgia, Florida games,
Yeah.
we used to get a limousine, and we'd call Hiro, and his brother Ray would pack up the, goodies for the trip
that.
over to Jacksonville.
Oh, that's
and, I remember at least one Saturday morning having to, bang on the window, and Ray was sleeping on the couch there in the old store. And,
That's right.
but Hiro, it really is an inspiration as far as building a business, from the ground up. Why don't you tell us the story a little bit, how you and Song wound up being partners?
Jeffrey, that's a great question. Just to kind of go back a little bit into history, when you said where we just started, it all started off with a simple question. And, Song and I, my business partner and Ray, we were all working at a small restaurant back then. And we actually put together a business plan from my business class, and I presented it to the owner of the restaurant. And when I explained to her, it was a very, very rudimentary, simple business plan, but it had a lot of the unique selling propositions that I felt like was needed in this town. So, but after I presented it to her, she just said, "Hiro, I love what you did, but I am actually trying to get out of this business. I don't recommend it for anybody." And so you have
There's a pep talk.
Yeah, you have a college education. I think there's something else you could be doing. So that was the inspiration, motivation for me to get going and do it, actually. So we opened up, and I asked Song, "Do you want to open up this restaurant?" I asked Ray, "Do you want to open up a restaurant?" And we said, "Okay, why not?" So
You
that was
guys were
21
young,
years
you
ago.
take a shot, you graduated from UF.
Yes, sir.
And you just, now, how did you fund it and get started?
To be honest, shoestring budget. I believe that ignorance was a recipe for us. I felt like not having too much money was a recipe for us. As a matter of fact, if I look back in time and history, I start realizing that success doesn't lead to success. It's actually failure. And failure is, I feel like, the driving force to many people. And 21 years ago, I was actually unemployed. I had my dream job lined up I went from University of Florida, graduated, went to Japan, worked over there, and I wanted to go into branding and marketing. And there was a dream firm over in Chicago called Leo Barnett. And I applied for it, thinking that I would get the job. I was right behind somebody who had credentials longer than just the length of a football field. Obviously,
Okay.
I didn't get the job, but that kind of like ended me back on my brother's couch. And he looked at me after 6 months and said, "Hey, you're my older brother. What are you doing with your life? You need to be some sort of an inspiration." So we just really went out ahead and opened up our first restaurant, and we said, "Let's do this until we find a real job. As you say, in the restaurant
20 years
industry.
later, here you are.
Still looking for that real job. I'm still bussing tables. I'm washing dishes. You really have to grind it out. And I really feel like if you ask me what's the biggest learned lessons up to this point, is to really have a blue collar work ethic with a white collar mindset.
It's a great quote.
Yeah.
I want to write that down.
So what are some of your inspirations as far as authors and people that have inspired you in the growth of your restaurant business?
Like you said, Jeffrey, I'm being really honest, speaking from my heart. You were one of my mentors. 21 years ago when we were working out at the gym, remember I was trying to open up my first restaurant and I didn't have enough money. And I asked you, like, what should I do? Because I over budgeted my build out. Back then the restaurant only costed $150,000, but I only put $50,000 to start. So I was like, where am I going to get this money? And it's really those moments, like finding people, finding mentors who's done it. And ever since that, I've always tried to reach out for people that have actually done it a little bit more than myself, and really try to learn from their challenges and opportunities. And it's a constant learning. And just because we don't go to school doesn't mean we stop, right? As a matter of fact, some of our mistakes that we've made, which I continue to make, are one of the best ones. But mentors, the bottom line, that's been my inspiration.
It's interesting. The folks in North Central Florida, many have gone to the original, Dragonfly location in Gainesville. I'll call it it's actually the second Dragonfly location, the one on the corner downtown. And that store has been very successful and pretty steady over the years, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. To my surprise, absolutely. It's 21 years, and so we're serving thousands of customers every week, all throughout the state.
But when you moved to Orlando, that was a new experience, right?
Yes, sir, yeah.
So tell us about, I know in the first year you had to figure out how you get tourists to come to your restaurant and what was going on there. Tell us a little bit about that.
So as we were saying earlier, success doesn't necessarily lead to success. We opened up Gainesville and we got busy. We were on 2-hour waits immediately after. And we kind of got in over our head and we said, we can open up another restaurant in the busiest area in Orlando called Restaurant Row and compete. And we opened up a 6,000 square foot store and no one came through the door. And we made one other mistake, was we invited everybody that we knew, which was in Gainesville. Yeah, they'll come to the opening party, but did they show up the next week and the week after? Not really. They're not going to drive an hour and a half here. And just because you have loyalty in Gainesville doesn't mean you have loyalty in other zip codes. So we had to really learn the hard way and open up our books again and figure out, all right, what do we need to do? My marketing manager and myself, we knocked on doors and we went through every single hotel. As a matter of fact, our one of our food supplier, they came up to me and said, Hiro, you're not buying enough from me. What do we need to do? And I said, hey, this is what you're going to do. I'm going to make you a business card. I'm going to put your name on there as sales manager, and we're going to go through door to door, and we're going to, go and get tourists and locals and businesses to come out. And it was that grind that really not giving up and really going out there and reestablishing the market was so important. And it obviously took, a couple years, few years, but eventually we turned a corner and we're going on year 11 now. We made it through COVID. And so that was pretty much the...
So that store, you would say, is pretty well established now?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
So then you're crazy enough to go try to hit the Miami market, right?
Yeah, like I didn't learn my lesson the third time around, and I keep doing it.
So you decide, well, let's see, we're going to open up a store in Miami where all the Venezuelans live, right?
Oh, yeah.
Tell us about that decision and how that came about.
Once again, as the logo Dragonfly has big eyes, and we call it our branding Dragonfly for a reason. We have a small body, but I believe that with a vision you can go anywhere and take it as far as you can. So we took another big step, and we're in year 6 now. And once again, we're establishing our clientele one at a time.
We are talking with Hiro, likes to be called Hiro, from Dragonfly Restaurant, which not just a Gainesville institution. They're in Orlando and they're in Miami. Anybody, though, who's been in downtown Gainesville, including myself, my son, so many others, we absolutely love your restaurant, and you've done such wonderful things. We're going to talk a bit about some of the food concepts you have. I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right. Modern izakaya.
Oh, yeah.
Is
Well,
that?
yes.
I want you to talk a little bit about that and about your philosophy at Kaizen, K-I-A-I-Z-E-N.
Yes, sir.
The Japanese business philosophy. We'll talk a little bit about that on the next segment.
Yeah.
Again, you're watching Meldon Law and Friends. This is episode 28. If you have any questions for Hiro or for Jeffrey Meldon, or you just want to talk Gator sports, anything at all, type your question in the comments section on Facebook Live and we'll get to it. Again, you're watching Meldon Law and Friends. Today is May 4th, 2021. We'll be right back.
When you're a member of the Gator Nation, you know what it means to never back down. Meldon Law has been a proud supporter of the Gator Nation since 1971. Two forces that won't back down. As the old saying goes, if you can't beat 'em, join 'em. The Gator Nation will be the first to tell you that in all kinds of weather, we all stick together, which is why Meldon Law is honored to be the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. We hope you never find yourself the victim of a serious accident, but if you do, our team is here for you. Gators won't back down from a fight, and neither do we.
Hello and welcome back to Meldon Law and Friends for our fourth and final segment. Today is Tuesday, May 4th, 2021. My name is Chris Qualman. I'm here with Jeffrey Meldon, president and founder, managing everything for Meldon Law, our marketer, our managing attorney, you name it, this guy does it. And it's interesting, Hiro, when you were talking the first segment, you said something of a similar philosophy. You talked about how you're not just the owner, you're still bussing tables, you're still out there talking to customers. I see you when I go there myself. I think that's a philosophy you have to have. Be willing as a leader to do any and everything.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Earlier on, you said, hey, Hiro, I'd like to know a little bit more about the word Kaizen.
Kaizen, correct.
K-A-I-Z-E-N. It's a Japanese philosophy of constant learning. And, it's if there's one cultural values that I always go back to, it's really the philosophy of Kaizen. And I'm always a student, and at the same time, I'm also a teacher for our staff. And even it's a virtuous learning cycle. If you continue that, you just keep improving. And that's what Kaizen really means.
It's very interesting you bring that up. Chris and I have been reading a book called Overcoming Obstacles.
Okay.
And everybody has obstacles in their life
Yep.
and in their business. And it's how you respond to the obstacles that are placed in front of you.
Oh, yeah.
Some people, they give up and go, I can't do that. And other people go, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it.
Yep.
Or they pretend it's not there or dance around it, or you go straight ahead and barge right through it.
So how have you been responding to the COVID crisis and the obstacles that presented?
That's a great question. For us, it was no option. We had to really dig deep inside and figure out, who we were as a company and who we were, what we represented for our guests. And earlier on, when I distilled down all the 3 locations and what we've learned, my Kaizen for that period of time was really about experiences and really about how we treat each other and how we treat the community. If anything, that challenge really, really was an opportunity for us to really go back to our cultural values. And for us, we felt that, obviously times were tough, but, when I looked at my staff, when all the people in the hospitality industry were losing jobs, restaurants were being shut down, people weren't coming out, we felt that as a community, we reached out to our food provider and created a food bank and gave out grocery shopping bags and goodie bags we put toilet papers in there, we put coffee beans in there. We gave it to our staff and as well as the people that were around us that worked in restaurants. On top of that, other things we've done was we created family meals. And so we allowed our employees, even though if you weren't working, if you signed up, we would have a hot cooked meal at 4 o'clock, even though we were closed, for our employees and their families. And we had a Facebook page where you can go on and sign up if you wanted it or not. There's a few even, one guy couldn't make it to pick up their lunch, but they wanted to eat, so I grabbed the food and I delivered and drove to one of my guys. So it's really those moments, I feel like, when we're really put to test, like you said, is really truly when you really have to dig down into your cultural values and say, who are you? And for us, it was about meaningful connection. And that's it. It starts and stops with that. And yeah.
Well, I want to tell our listeners and viewers that since I spent many years, I don't currently live above Dragonfly, but I spent many years above Dragonfly. About 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I'd see the team meeting going on, and that every day, everybody that worked at the Dragonfly in Gainesville would get together as a team, and you'd have a meeting. Now, you obviously weren't discussing how to wash a dish that day, right? What are some of the things you went through in your team meetings?
So during our meetings, we feel that it's an opportunity for us to engage our staff. And we can talk about our food, we can talk about our drinks, but most importantly, we really talk about the wins and losses. We do what's called good tuna. And basically, these are the all the boys and girls that actually demonstrate one of our cultural values, and we tell stories around those things. And we applaud and we give, and really share those moments that instill and really tell us what our cultural value means. For example, one of our cultural value is celebrate memories. And when a guest comes into the restaurant, I'll do a quick story about that. We had for years a guest that used to come in every Friday nights and used to always, you can hear his voice because it was the loudest laughter in the whole restaurant. And after 3 or 4 years, he stopped coming in. And we didn't know what was going on. We're like, what's going on? This is, typical Friday night, and his voice wasn't heard. And we didn't realize it for a couple of weeks later. But when we reached out, when we saw his wife, he said that he's actually in the intensive care unit, and he wasn't doing well. He had some sort of cancer. And so, he wasn't able to come. And, we asked him, well, what can we do as a restaurant to make, to really connect with him? And she said, you know what? He just wants, to possibly get some food, but his doctor said he's not allowed to eat it. So a couple more weeks later, she called and said, hey, he's on his last, meal, and he just wants Dragonfly. So every time I talk about this, I just choke up. But
That's pretty.
It's an amazing story.
Yeah, I mean, and it's funny because friends of mine will come in from out of town. They'll drive up from Miami or Orlando or Jacksonville, and 9 out of 10 times when I say, where would you like to go, they always say Dragonfly, because you've created a unique restaurant, a unique experience. Tell us, what are some of the favorite dishes for you? And
Izakaya, isn't that that's the cuisine that you call it, modern izakaya?
Yeah, izakaya, it's a philosophy that revolves around community, and that community is where you get to know your customers, and it's a mom and pop that will come out of the kitchen. So if you go to Japan, if you go to izakaya, it's a very small hole in the wall, and the husband would be out pretty much reading the guest, and the wife is back there just kind of like whipping up the best dishes in the world, and they would always pour you that hot sake, but they would know you by name, and you eat these small tapas dishes. So our idea always, even though it was about food, but it came from that root of community and food and meaning. But over the years we've utilized the word kaizen and continue to improve on our food. And what we do is we actually allow our chefs and bartenders to come up with their kaizen every season. And they submit during audition. So Chef Ray, which is our executive chef, and I sit down and we taste each dish, and the best ones usually make it. And so over the years, we've evolved to add better and better dishes.
Well, that's pretty cool. I know Ray has training informal trading at Cordon Bleu, right?
Yes, yes, sir.
How did that make sense when you're doing a Japanese style restaurant?
It's I think the root of any cooking, it comes from French cooking. Japanese cooking is actually another, very, very has century-old techniques.
Sure.
So I think once you combine both of those techniques, you start creating great dishes. So like, for example, most recent dish that was created by our staff was a braised octopus dish. And, in Japan, you massage the octopus and you almost make love to it just so that you share, and you really create that nice tender juiciness. And then you braise it in the oven. And we use a little bit of citrus and a little sugar to balance it out. And it's called the Vietnamese fish sauce. But when you sous vide it, which is the French cooking, and you add a little bit of Japanese, it creates a beautiful composed dish. So, things like that, I believe.
I think we need to go by a little bit later. I think
No,
let's close early today. Let's head over to
we live in the Duck Pond area, so we get the
That's
benefit of coming down and visiting you often. But I want to tell you that it is more than just an accident, the fact that Dragonfly has done so well for 21 years. I know you and Song and Ray have worked your butts off trying to create a great experience for people coming in. And those of you that think that the restaurant business is all glamorous, no, it's hard work.
Extraordinarily hard work.
And you have to understand the business, and you have to be able to plan for success as far as creating a extraordinary experience for your guests.
Absolutely. I'm nowadays having great food and having great drinks, having the menu on the table at the right time, having a clean environment, those are just barriers to entry. And we have to, at the very least, deliver on those in order to play this game. And then once you're in there, the question is, in my opinion, and what I've learned, is how does the guest feel? It's not what they think. Logic.
That's a great point.
Doesn't really get you in the door. Logic doesn't make you buy certain things. You never sit behind Amazon and think, I think I need that, I think I need that. You never would act. But it's your passion and your heart. And once you start hitting on those emotional chords, I believe that's where loyalty it comes from. And at the end of the day, that's the difference between hospitality and service. Service is useless in my industry. But hospitality, if you can figure out how to connect with the guest, it means everything. And in my culture, it's an honor to serve. So it's pretty much just how I've been growing up.
Well, I'll tell you, you're doing a great job, man. And again, there's been challenges. I know getting that Miami store, running in the right direction when people were going across the street buying, food that was, Latin culture stuff, was a big challenge. So I want to congratulate you on, first of all, having a long running Gainesville store that's continued to always deliver exceptional quality food and service and atmosphere and making us all feel good.
Thank you, Dave.
And then being able to move into these big city markets, which are much more complex.
Yeah.
Very complex.
We've only got a little over a minute left, but I want to ask you one very quick question. It could take a whole session. What advice would you give to people like entrepreneurs? So many changes happening in Gainesville. It's growing. We've got the big hotel coming up around the corner from you. What would you say to somebody wanting to start a new business?
Wow, I have a Rolodex to take over a minute.
I know.
If there's one, I think one word, over-deliver. Over-deliver.
It's a great word.
That's it. Jack Welch taught that at one of the seminars. A 16-year-old girl went up in front of all these executives and said, she stood up and asked, what do you recommend? And he said, over-deliver. And that was it. The whole crowd just went wild. That was good enough.
Well, and I think it applies across all businesses, whether you're a restaurant,
Agreed.
a law firm, or whatever. And we have our daily Zoom meetings where we try to inspire people to over-deliver, and that's how you build success. You know, one satisfied person or client, customer at a time.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, we've had a lot of fun. This has been a tremendously informative session. Hiro, you've done so many great things. You're an outstanding corporate citizen, regular citizen of Gainesville, call it what you will. You contribute so much. I want to thank you personally and on behalf of the firm. We're so happy to have you on. We'll have you on again. Want to remind everybody that you still can apply for tickets for tonight's Stetson game and also for the weekend softball games against Texas A&M, next week's games against Georgia at the Florida ballpark. Check it out. It'll be a great time. Jeffrey, we got to bring this to a close, but next week we'll be back with episode 29.
I'm excited. I want to thank everybody for listening and viewing Meldon Law and Friends, and tell your friends about it.
Share.
We want to share it.
Share the episode.
Let people know that we really appreciate all your support.
Thanks so much. We'll see you next week.